Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Wedding Photo Podcast. I am your host, Ulysses Del Toro, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being back and listening and watching, and I really appreciate all of your support. I've said it before, doing this podcast is just so much fun because I get to talk to so many different people. I've made so many friends off of it, and I get really encouraged when I get messages from listeners telling me that they get really great advice, or they hear something that they haven't really thought of to do in their business, and that stuff. That's the reason I do the podcast. Aside from wanting to interview all these interesting people and kind of see into their mind of how they work and how they do things, I'm glad that this is a benefit to everybody. So thank you guys for listening. And just so you know, you can find me if you want to reach out and ask any questions, want a specific topic on the podcast. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Wedding Photo Podcast. You can also find me on Twitter at DelToroPhoto. And you can join our Facebook group where we're constantly bringing up different topics there, different articles that we find. And you can ask questions on there and get some answers from the community, and I can bring it up here on the podcast as well. Before we get started, I also want to remind everybody that if you want to try Narrative Publisher, Publisher by Narrative is a software used to create blogs more efficiently and faster. I've been using them since the beginning of the year, and it really has improved how quickly and how efficient I'm able to get blogs out. It used to take me hours to put them together. There probably were easier ways to do it. We just couldn't find an easier way. And when I discovered Publisher by Narrative, it just took the entire headache away. It made everything super easy, and it makes everything very fast. And I've been able to blog more consistently than I ever have using Publisher by Narrative. And we linked up with them, and they are offering a 15% off code using code DelToroPhoto. So if you go and visit them, you can get 15% off. You could also try them for free to see if you like it. And if you decide you want to go with it, you can use that 15% off. All those links and all the links to this episode will be in the show notes. So, and lastly, don't forget, if you do want to support the podcast, I would really love to for you to just leave a 5-star rating, leave a review. Let me know what you think about this podcast. I think it helps more people discover the podcast. Share it with your friends. So again, thank you everybody for supporting the podcast. Really appreciate it. Let's see. I guess we'll just start with kind of catching up like we do every episode. Nothing too new going on right now. Obviously, we're still going through this pandemic, but things are slowly starting to feel normal as far as business goes. We've been doing some more engagement shoots lately. We've been doing some family shoots and being mindful of the guidelines and playing everything very safe. Recently shot a wedding, and this wedding ended up going through, again, it was, for the most part, it was pretty safe. I think they had a little more people than they should have, but everything was outdoors. And as far as the guidelines go, they were kind of following the rules for the most part. And at least for myself, I never felt in any type of danger. I was able to keep my distance, wore a mask the entire time. So actually everything went pretty good. But definitely this wedding is what pushed me to get tested for COVID-19 for the first time. And here in our county, you can get that testing for free. And it's something I had been thinking about doing, but we haven't really been going anywhere. So, I just hadn't done it yet. But this time around, I waited a couple days after the wedding and decided to go get tested. And the test was super easy, very fast, and it's free. So I think, and I tested negative. So thank goodness on that. But I think after this, since I am doing some shoots here and there, and we are kind of going out, even just to get groceries and those kinds of things, you're around people. And I think it kind of makes you feel, it makes you feel a little better knowing, whether you have it or not, just by getting tested. I think I'm going to start getting tested on a bi-weekly case. It'll just make me feel more comfortable, especially to be able to tell my clients, like, hey, just so you know, I'm getting tested regularly, and so far I'm negative. So I think it kind of puts their mind at ease as well. So, but other than that, things are going really great. Still just very hopeful for the future, and we're doing our part and just being safe. So we'll continue to do that. We are trying something new this week. I'm really excited because we got a couple of podcasts lined up, a couple of guests. And for today's episode, we're trying something new. I recorded this podcast episode via Skype, and I'm posting it on the YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it, you can go over to my YouTube channel. I'll also put the link in the show notes below in case you can't find it. But I put this episode. It's the first time I did a full video interview episode, and I'm gonna share it on YouTube. Let me know what you think. If you want to give me some feedback on it, let me know how you feel about it. If it's a good thing, should I be doing it more often? I haven't considered doing interviews, video interviews, face-to-face, just because I don't necessarily have the exact equipment I need to do a full-length video interview. But doing it over Skype, obviously that was really easy. So yeah, just let me know what you think. You can go watch this episode on YouTube, so if you want to do it that way, go check it out. But today's guest, I have a returning guest, Marcela Pulido. She is a destination wedding photographer. She was actually, like I said, she's a returning guest. She was on episode 14. So I hadn't actually sat down and talked to her for about 2 years now. So I was really excited to talk to her. She's got amazing work, and she's just an overall really cool person, and I loved talking to her. So she's got a new project that she's been working on called Vendors of Color, and it's a directory for vendors in the BIPOC community. I thought it was a really great approach to add more support to the community, and it was really interesting to hear how she got it started, what she's doing with it, who she has involved, and where she's hoping to take it. So she talks about and she talks about how you can get involved too. So it was a really interesting topic. I really enjoyed talking to Marcela, and yeah, so I'll let you guys listen in. Let me know what you think. But without any further ado, I present to you Marcela Pulido.
So excited. Thank you for having me on again.
Yeah, it's so good to see you again, dude. It's been forever. I mean, I see your face on Instagram all the time, but since you've been down, I mean, that was like over 2 years ago, I think now.
Yeah, I was trying to remember when that was, and I think 2 years sounds about right.
Yeah. How's everything been going since then?
I mean, this year's been crazy, as you can imagine, with COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been weird. I mean, generally for the last 2 years, everything's been good, but this year's been weird.
Yeah, no, I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. But
you've been good? Everything's been good?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Nothing to complain about for the most part.
Have you been coming down here and visiting at all? I know you got some family here in Redlands.
Yeah, they're in Colton.
Oh,
well, yeah, my tia is actually in Redlands too. Yeah, I try to go down every couple months. I try to go in the spring and the winter, so I don't have to go in the summer.
Yeah, you don't want to be here right now. We were just saying how hot it was, right? Like you said, it's starting to cool down over there. It's in the low 90s.
Well, yeah, when it was 100 degrees on Monday, I was really grumpy about it because I was I did not leave the Inland Empire to have to experience this again.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're over here sitting on 100 degrees right now. It's pretty terrible.
No, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about how the wedding industry has looked for you, because you're mainly a traveling wedding photographer, destination wedding photographer. So, what's these last couple months look like for you?
Quiet by comparison. Because the last big wedding I shot was March 14th, and that was right when everything was starting to come out and about like the pandemic and quarantine. I think it took like the very next day or like within the week that I like filed for unemployment, because I was like, I don't know what's happening this year. And since then, like there were like very early on in the spring, there were a lot of cancellations with things shutting down, venues kind of afraid of what was going on, even some Airbnbs for people trying to plan elopements in May. So nothing was happening for the first couple of months. But like now things are kind of settling down a little bit more. People are wearing masks and getting tested and trying to be a lot more responsible. So I am starting to do a lot more engagement sessions, elopements, just really low key stuff, and nothing. I haven't shot anything with over 6 people at this point. So
have you shot any weddings, any like really small weddings like that?
Yeah, I just did an elopement 3 weeks ago in Eastern Oregon.
Yeah.
It was literally 6 people, including the couple. And they all got tested that week just to make sure that everything was like safe.
See, that's pretty smart. I've shot 2 weddings recently. One of them was like a backyard wedding, and they had it was a small amount, I guess. They had like 10 or 15 people that were there. But it felt very safe, like the way they had the backyard set up. A lot of the guests wore masks the whole time, which, I kind of assumed like, oh, they're family, they're going to like not be wearing masks and not really caring. But a lot of people were wearing, a lot of family members were wearing their mask and everything. And then the way the backyard was set up, like I was able to, I don't think they did it specifically for like the vendors, but I was able to stay like 10 feet away from everybody the entire time, like where they only had 3 tables set up, and the patio was like an open patio, so I could just walk alongside the grass and photograph them the whole time and never had to like be in there with them. So that made me feel pretty comfortable. And then I shot a wedding last weekend that maybe should not have gone down, but it wasn't.
Those are the ones I'm scared of.
It was all outdoors, which that was comforting. I didn't again have to be near anybody, so that was all right. But it was closer to like 40 people, And and that was just that alone. Thinking about that right now, like that maybe shouldn't have gone down. But I waited like 2 or 3 days, and I went and got tested myself, and everything's fine. But I mean, I like that you said that everybody went and got tested before they even got together. That's pretty smart.
Yeah. I mean, like I have one that's supposed to happen in October, and we just had a phone call this week because they're inviting at least 36 guests, but of course, like not necessarily all 36 of them are going to show up.
Yeah.
With everything happening, just like even the groomsmen are like 7 of them. Yeah. 7 out of the 10 groomsmen have already said they're not going to show up.
Oh, wow.
Because of everything that's going on. But these are things that we discussed too, which is just like, how are we going to keep things safe? Like mask testing, social distancing, all the good stuff that we have now ingrained into like our daily lives. But just kind of going over worst case scenarios and preparing for like, what if we legally can't do this, and that's the thing, like the regulations change by region every day. So like he was asking me, he was like, so like, what the events, like what the limit is right now? And I was like, what, frankly, I have no idea, because this is changing constantly. And I don't know.
And everybody's had such different experiences and situations with this as far as like wedding photographers or vendors go. Have you had any, like I know people have probably had to cancel or postpone. Have you had any issues doing all that?
A little bit. For the most part. I obviously, like the whole situation just really sucks on both sides. Like clients trying to plan a wedding in the middle of the pandemic and figure out what's legal and possible for them, and me just trying to keep a small business running. And so very early on, I just kind of realized that I couldn't really advertise for weddings right now, and I didn't want to like post too much on social media. I kind of just took a step back from it because it just felt kind of gross to me, the advertising. And when it came to my clients, like it came down to, I wanted to focus more on the clients that I already have and make sure that I was able to accommodate their postponements and like rescheduling, as opposed to trying to get hired by new clients. And then like losing out on prime dates for people that have already booked me. So I've just been trying to be really flexible and like transferring the retainer fee to like a new date, but then it's also just like a balancing act of trying to get everyone on the calendar. And it's but everyone's been super understanding, and like I'm just glad to have good clients.
That's good. That always makes it easier, right? All of our clients have been all of our couples have been really, really great. I think pretty much everybody just moved their dates till next year, you know? I've got a couple at the end of the year, and they're, you know, the way they have it set up, they should be going through, but I think I've talked to them too. They kind of have backup plans or just moving it, you know, postponing it till later on too. And
you got to be prepared just in case.
Especially right now. I mean, I've been getting inquiries for earlier this year, like, well, we're already in August, but I was getting inquiries for like October, and I'm like, I don't know if people are going to be, you know, I mean, everyone was hopeful for a July reopening, and we're past that now. So now it's like, there's too much uncertainty. We don't know what it's going to look like at all. Right.
I've gotten a couple of inquiries, and even then, like, I don't know, just like responding to like the first email, I'm just like, I don't know how to respond to this right now.
And then the last thing you want to do is like take their money too, because that can...
and I don't want to have to like refund anybody right now. Just like, I'm barely hanging on.
Oh my gosh.
Tough.
Yeah, it's been pretty tough, but you said you've been working again and shooting some small stuff here and there, right? So I know it took us a couple months to actually get started, like, I guess, marketing, you know, like posting stuff again and feeling comfortable with that. Have you since you haven't been able to shoot as many weddings, what have you kind of like replaced that with?
So Animal Crossing at first. For like the first
I was not expecting that.
For like the first 2-3 months of it, I was just like, I can't work, it's cold, like, you don't do shoots or anything.
Please tell me you were streaming Animal Crossing and
you know what, I should have that was like a missed opportunity. But I was playing Animal Crossing like it was my full-time job. I swear to God.
Oh man. Well, work-wise, did you replace it with anything?
Yes. I'm kidding. But I think it was after like my 6th wedding got postponed. I just got really frustrated and was just like, I'm not working this year. I think that's when like it really hit me. Like, I'm not working this year. Like the summer that I was anticipating and prepared for like isn't going to happen. So I needed to focus like on other avenues. And so I took some time. I decided to teach myself user experience design and like learn how to like build and design like websites and apps. I'm still learning, but that kind of leads into what I ended up creating after, which is the Vendors of Color directory. Which
I'm super excited to talk to you about that when you told me that you started that. So wait, so you've been designing all this yourself, like the website and everything? Holy cow, man. That's pretty awesome. I'm over here like, I started a vegetable garden and you're learning how to code?
It's not coding. So there's a difference between like coding and like creating like something with HTML, whatever but this is more just like from the design aspect and like the user experience. And so because I'm definitely not the first person to come up with the idea of creating a directory of like POC vendors. But what I was finding was that a lot of people were just kind of creating like Excel spreadsheets or something, and then that was just being like handed around like a PDF that people were emailing. And while that was great in the sense that they were having that resource, it just wasn't user friendly.
So
that's like, well, that's just where like user experience design comes in, because it helped give me like a base of like learning how to make something user friendly and like have a good aesthetic.
Dude, that's amazing that you like you took that as a hobby, and now what you're you're already rolling it out like as almost like a business, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the vendors of color.
Yes. So I can kind of tell you like what kind of inspired me.
Yes, that's what I want to know.
Because last year, I think like right around May or March, there's this black couple here in Portland called Hakeem and Jasmine. They're models. They get to model for, you know, like the couple that models for like weddings and for photographers like looking to like create style shoots for their portfolio and stuff. And so like I started following them just because they're local, they're awesome, and I'd seen their work, like them being featured like for everyone. So they started a really cool movement called Change the Wedding Industry. And I'm sure you've probably seen that hashtag like around Instagram and everything.
I think we follow them as well.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah. And so like I loved everything about the idea of like changing what we see within the wedding industry in terms of like the couples being showcased. Because like if you look at most like wedding vlogs, most photographers, like a lot of the portfolio is really white, heteronormative couples. And it looks just like very much the same.
Yeah.
And so they were really wanting to challenge that and, you know, showcase more couples of color so you could see yourself represented in people's portfolios, which I love, which kind of started this whole movement of like styled shoots incorporating more people of color, which is great. And I love that. But I got to go on a couple of these shoots, and I was kind of struck by the fact that I was like the only vendor of color.
Yeah.
And then like the only other person of color was like the couple.
The models. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just kind of made me feel kind of, I don't know, it still kind of came across like with the tokenization, which is like a big issue.
Yeah.
And it just got me thinking how much I would really like to have more people of color behind the scenes.
Yeah. So it's not, I mean, definitely in front of the camera, but like nobody thinks about all the vendors in general too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing too, just like it kind of ingrained within like our culture as people of color is like la raza supports la raza, you know?
Yeah.
We go out of our way to make sure we're giving our money back to other brown folks, other black folks, other Asian folks. And so I wanted to kind of extend that in like a bigger scope and just make it so like we can help support each other and get us hired.
Now in your industry, like where you live, do you see that as a problem as well? Like even with like your own experiences there?
With what? What do you mean? Sorry.
Like the vendors you're working with at the weddings that you're attending. Are you not?
Yes. Like not seeing like representation.
Yeah.
Very minimum, and like very minimum. And if you look like geographically at like the Pacific Northwest, it is very white.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that there aren't vendors of color out here, you know?
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to make it easier for people to find us and be able to hire us and kind of show a little bit more of that representation and redistribute the wealth towards us in the community.
No, that's awesome. And so with the website, like how are you guys, what exactly are you guys doing to reach out to the vendors?
Yes, so that is a good question. And that is why I have like a co-founder, Jamie Smith or Jamie Taw. She's in charge of like media relations and like helping me like reach out to people and kind of spread the word. A lot of it has also just been like word of mouth and us just kind of reaching out to people and like encouraging them to spread it and share it. And luckily, it's actually proven to be really helpful because, you know, people want to support each other. And so people are really like sharing it and tagging the people that they know that are vendors of color and just kind of wanting to get the word across. And even then, like I've had a lot of like white allyship vendors who are using this as a resource to have this as like their preferred vendor list to share with potential clients to get them to hire us.
And what's like the process kind of look like with your website?
Yeah, so I try to make this as simple as possible, and it's really, you just go on the website, you can click on the link, and there's just like a little like join the directory link, or like a little join us button, and it's just like a form that you fill out, and you're instantly just added into the directory.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that it, even for like coordinators and stuff, this is a good place to like help their couples find more people to represent. I also love how like badass your website is. You did all this? You did this website?
Yeah.
Dude, it's so cool. I love
you.
I love this statement. We're here to F shit up in the best way possible.
Yes. I wanted it to like not be stuffy or like a typical wedding blog or directory type of thing. I didn't want it to be overtly like pastel colors.
Yeah.
Like I still wanted it to have some vibrancy and just kind of feel relatable and accessible.
And have you had any of your own couples that have had any, odd or bad experiences like looking for vendors? Is this something you've heard, through your own clients as well?
Yes. And so that was like a big thing. That was a big encouragement for me in my own business, is that I have couples that are people of color who wanted to hire me specifically as like a Latina out here. And I've had couples who were like either same-sex couples or people of color who have experienced like micro or macroaggressions in trying to hire wedding vendors. For some reason or another. I've heard about photographers saying that they couldn't photograph or edit dark skin, or just like little situations like that maybe, I don't know, like these people are unaware are micro or macro aggressions, and how difficult it is as a person of color to hear that. And so I do have a lot of clients that explicitly like want to help support more like small business owners and entrepreneurs who are people of color.
And I saw, I was looking through through the Instagram stories, and you had someone post like a video on how to edit like darker skin tones. Are you guys planning on like having different avenues through the website, like stuff like the educational style content or anything like that?
Yes. So that is something we're kind of trying to figure out like a little bit further down the line, but we do want to open it up to bring in like contributors and people who have educational resources as a means of sharing that with the community for sure. And
how's it look like so far with like the vendors that have joined, or when did you actually like, have you released this already yet?
So we kind of did like a soft launch, because I literally just finished and got the website to like this point as of yesterday. So we kind of just did like a soft launch where like it was live, but it wasn't really like, it didn't look pretty, and it was still just kind of coming together. We were still just kind of sharing it and trying to get the word out. And we do also have like a Facebook community for people to join where we can kind of help collaborate and kind of reach out to each other and be more in contact.
Yeah, this is way cool, man.
Thank you.
This is looking so good.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, this is not a place to be a petty or a bitch.
Yes. A lot of my personality just comes out in that too.
I definitely see it. You're like, do not bring your shitty ass drama here.
This is not the place.
Oh man. Yeah, this is good. And have you been sharing this like with your couples as well?
Yes. Definitely, like I have some couples that like follow me on Instagram, and I've been posting on there more than anything. And I have a lot of my couples just kind of reach out through there and just like, this is amazing. Or a lot of my couples, frankly, have already like hired their vendors, and a lot of them have already expressed like, oh my God, we wish we had this when we first started planning. But I'm definitely going to kind of incorporate it into my workflow and make sure that I'm sending this out to every client going forward.
So what kind of vendors are you going to start like featuring on here?
So we're just going to feature, I think what I want to do is just kind of like reach out to the community and figure out like who people want to see on there. Because it's hard, because like I don't want to just pick my favorite vendors too, or like pick my friends or anything. And I want to make sure that I'm just kind of taking it like a wide array and getting to feature everybody. So we are still just kind of starting off with doing like simple like featured vendors on the website and on the Instagram. Pretty soon we're going to get into doing like bi-weekly or bi-monthly, I'm not sure yet, like interviews and having like a more in-depth like article on each vendor. Yeah.
Well, this would also be a great avenue for a podcast. I'm just saying, if you want to, I don't know how much more you want to take on right now.
Probably not that right now. It would be super cool, but maybe like further down the line. Once winter hits, I don't really have much else going on work-wise.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is this just kind of central to Pacific Northwest, or are you guys going to expand on that as well?
Yeah, so that was something we were discussing too, because obviously this is something that should go national if we can get it to. But for the time being, we mostly want to focus on the Pacific Northwest, like Portland, Seattle. We're adding Idaho in there if we can tap into that market. We want to keep it predominant to this area just because it is like the whitest part of the country.
Yeah.
And so we have less voices that we want to focus on. Because like I know, of course, like in California, there's a ton of like awesome like brown and whatever like vendors, and like I would love to showcase everybody, and like especially because like I know a ton of people down there.
Yeah. But
I feel like that would be a little overwhelming for us right now.
There's a lot of vendors in California. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but I can totally see that. I just know that like, just us, we would love to, provide this kind of resources for our clients.
Yeah.
But I do want, I do think that maybe it's a little different down here. We've been pretty fortunate to have worked with like a diverse group of vendor couples and vendors,
Yeah.
And I want to say that we actually do get a lot of Latino couples reaching out to us. So I don't know if we've seen it as much as a problem, but there's also a lot of, predominantly white areas down here as well. But I feel
for sure.
I feel like it's probably a bigger issue up there. Like you said, it's a lot. There's not enough representation up there.
It's just like this region is just historically and very, very white and has a very ugly racist background in history to it. And so, but at the same time, like have you seen what's been going on with Portland with the Black Lives Matter protests and the feds having been here and everything?
Yeah.
I feel like this is a good turning point for what's happening out here, because people are kind of taking this time to educate themselves and really stepping up and trying to do more for the community. Yeah. So I think this is a good time for us to kind of just everyone tap into that and focus on just helping support us. Yeah,
no, you're right about that. What is like your guys' ultimate goal with this project?
Yeah, so I'm focusing mainly on two things right now. Like one is obviously like getting the website up and getting visibility from potential clients. That I'm seeing that as like an opportunity for people to like put money into the pockets of the BIPOC community out here, which is awesome, and I want to see more of that. And second is just really kind of growing the community and having that be more as a resource of us to connect with each other and collaborate, create more self shoots, whatever that means for us. Is it means also just being able to get more business.
Yeah. Dude, well, this is really great. I love this. I love the idea of this. I'm sure you guys have a ton of people that are on board with this. I'm going to join the group, even though I'm not in Portland.
You can join. You can be our little... You can join our little like digital like Zoom happy hours and stuff.
Oh man, that's awesome. What are you going to be doing with the blogs? Is it just going to be more like to feature more vendors as well?
Yes. So we're going to kind of just start doing like stories. We're going to share tips for clients. We're going to do featured vendors, and we're just going to reach out again to like our community and just like ask them to be contributing writers if they have anything that they want to share.
Yeah.
Like anything that they want clients to know, anything they want other vendors to know, like whatever that looks like.
Dude, this is awesome. And how do you know Jamie?
So Jamie, I was connected to her when I first started this, because somebody was just like, "Hey, Jamie's doing like something similar," but she had, I think it was like an Excel spreadsheet that like you still had to kind of go in and manually adjust and like add everyone and be able to reach out to everyone. And so we just kind of joined forces at that point. I was just like, "Hey, you're doing this, me too. Let's kind of just get everything together, but I'll make it look pretty."
And I love that you have these two different, you know, as you guys starting this, you guys have these two different views. You with the photography, and she was event coordinator, right? So
yes. So which means she's way more organized than I am, and it's just like way better at like reaching out and like knowing who to reach out to kind of spread the word about it.
Yeah.
And so that's brilliant. So it's just like we need the two of us to work together to make this come together and like work well, you know?
Yeah. Well, next
because
time,
I definitely
go ahead.
Can't do that myself. It's just I just can't do that myself.
Well, next time we're gonna have to have her on as well to get like a progress report, how everything's been going with it.
Oh my god, absolutely! And I hope to see this grow and just do good things.
I have no doubt it will. This is such a great project to be. Who wouldn't want to be involved with this, right?
I mean, that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
And I love everything about this. Like, I love the color scheme. I love the feature on the vendors. Yeah.
And what I'm hoping is even like yeah, we're focusing on like the Pacific Northwest, but if this also helps create like a framework for people to be able to start this and like kind of start their own community in their own regions, then like that's awesome.
Yeah, I can see this taking off like that too. Like you guys starting this thing and everyone just kind of going, you know, like you said, making their own groups in the same realm.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, if we can just kind of figure out a way to share the framework and kind of encourage other people to do the same thing, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome. Is there anything else you want to share with everybody about this project you guys are doing?
I mean, at this point, admittedly, like everything, I'm not looking to make a profit off of this whatsoever. Like I've paid for everything, like website hosting, and just put in my time into like designing it. But if anybody wants to take the time to donate, there's a donate button like on the main page. That just kind of helps us like maintain upkeep like on the website, and will help us like be able to fund more of like the educational resources going forward.
Yeah.
Because we definitely want to get to the point where we can like host workshops and in both ways for like the BIPOC community, and also as a means of like hiring our folks to like help educate people who are trying to figure out how to be better white allies.
Yeah. Dude, that's amazing. And just for everybody, I'll put all the links in the show notes, but your guys' Instagram is at Vendors of Color, right? Vendors of Color, and then the website is vendorsofcolor.com. So I think it is definitely worth a look. Check it out. I'm gonna go ahead and just encourage everybody to follow and join. Especially if you're listening from the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're one of us. Yeah. Come join us.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to see this whole thing take off. When you messaged me about this is I was so excited that you're a part of this, and that you guys are working on something. This is going to be big. Yeah.
I hope so. I mostly just want to see like our community rise. That's really all I want to see. Awesome,
dude. Well, this has been great. Thanks for coming on here and talking to me about this and letting everybody know. Like I said, I'll pass and share the word, and hopefully we get some more people involved with you guys.
Thank you. That would be awesome. And thanks for having me on again. It's always such a pleasure.
All right, thanks everybody for listening to another episode of the Wedding Photo Podcast. Just as a reminder, if you want to find me on Instagram, you can find me at Wedding Photo Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at DelToroPhoto, and you can go join our Facebook group where we have a great community of photographers and videographers and different vendors all in there. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, you can get some feedback from the community. You can ask questions that you want to hear on the podcast. So go join our community. It's really awesome. If you want to support this podcast, you can, I'd really appreciate it if you just left a 5-star rating, left a review. I think it helps the podcast grow. So thank you guys all for listening. And again, we have linked up with Publisher by Narrative. They are a software that makes it easier and more efficient to put blogs out. So if you want to go check that out, you can test it out for free, and you can use our affiliate link and get 15% off using code DelToroPhoto. So definitely go check them out. Thank you guys again for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you guys on the next one.